Hi, I'm Sam Dungy and I'm the author of I Want to Be an Engineer. I came up with the idea for the book to try and inspire more girls and children in general to become engineers. I didn't feel like engineering was a career that people aspired to do in the same way that they do doctors and train drivers and construction workers. And I felt like what engineers do is amazing and changes our world just as much, if not more, than those professions. So I thought, why not try and inspire children to be engineers? So the text for the book originally was really basic and didn't actually have rhyme. And then one of my cousins actually came up with the concept, why don't you make it more engaging to kids with the putting in some rhyme? Yeah, I'm not a natural written person, so I had to learn a lot in order to write this book. I actually engaged some copywriters to give me some feedback, and I had to learn about cadence and rhythm of writing. And it was actually quite a challenge for me, but a pleasant one. So I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I'm happy with what we came out with, considering that the written form is not my natural language. Yeah, I wanted to self-publish the book because I wanted to keep control of what the book became, and I really wanted it to give the right message, and I wanted to keep it on point. And I felt like as an engineer and having a lot of parents and young mothers and fathers around me, I felt like I was best placed to do that. But it has been a challenge. So self-publishing means that you have to manage the distribution, the marketing, the printers, everything all yourself. So that's been a really steep learning curve, but again, I've enjoyed it. I feel like I've gotten a lot out of this book, whether it be managing a business, managing timeframes, or even just the creative process that is writing and creating a book. When I first came up with the concept of the book, I wanted to make it appealing to both girls and boys because I felt like it wasn't fair to just sell it to girls. I felt everyone should be encouraged to be an engineer. We tried to show children of different cultural backgrounds in the book, and we didn't make the parents exclusively a part of a couple, to try and include people in the book and to try and appeal to as many people to connect with the book as possible. When I decided that I wanted to appeal to a large audience of children and a large audience of people, I did some research into what makes children choose the careers that they do and how can we influence them. What is a good time in their lives to actually make a change, make a difference to what they might choose to be. That's when I came across this research by the Organisation of Education and Employers, of which Nick Chambers is the CEO. So I decided to reach out to Nick to have a chat about some of the research that they're doing and what they've found in their research. I'm here with Nick Chambers, the CEO of Education and Employers, and he's here to tell us about some of the research they've been doing and how exactly that fits with the book that I've been talking about today. So hi Nick.
Delighted to be with you from just outside Cambridge in England and joining you today.
So would you like to tell us a bit about the organisation Education and Employers?
Yeah, we're a charity or an NGO, if you like. We've been going just over 10 years. Our aim is to help young people to understand the world of work, to motivate them, to excite them, and to show them what's possible in life and to help them navigate.
That's great. I wanted to talk today. I wanted to start with the piece of research that yourself was one of the researchers on, called Drawing the Future.
Yeah, Drawing the Future is a really simple idea, and it arose from a video we did called Redraw the Balance. And this little video is really simple. It was in one school with 66 children, and the children were asked to draw a firefighter, a pilot, and a surgeon. And there's a class for it. It's only a 2-minute film. If you Google Redraw the Balance, you'll find it. And you've got these kids, and they're all doing a picture, drawing a picture, and then they get to meet the volunteers for real. So after they've drawn the picture, 3 people come in, and they're wearing, it's not obvious who they are because the firefighter's wearing a mask, the surgeon's also got a mask on, and the pilot's got a full headgear. But they reveal themselves, and when they take off their, the mask or the head for the pilot, because 61 of the 66 all drew pictures of men, all these jobs as men. You know, what we thought we'd do is do a slightly bigger sample than 66 children in one school. And so we did a similar exercise around the world where kids drew a picture. These were between sort of 5 was probably the youngest, 5 and 11. They drew a picture of what they wanted to be, but they also said if they'd ever met anybody who did that job, and if not, how had they heard about the job? So it was looking to see why kids drew those jobs. Was it because they saw them on the TV, because of parents, or because someone came into their school? And it showed very clearly a big difference in gender of what girls wanted to do and what boys wanted to do. I think I'm right in saying this, in Australia, the top job for boys was sports person, and for girls was teacher, which is very similar actually in lots of other countries. You know, lots higher for girls, you know, being a vet, but also being a hairdresser and a model, and for boys, you know, higher up being an engineer. And what was interesting, that most children, about half said they'd heard about that job from their parents or their friends' parents or their environment, not surprisingly, nothing wrong with that. The other half who'd never, you know, got their inspiration from someone they didn't know, and the majority of that was TV, social media, and only 1% was actually meeting somebody who did that job. So what it was showing to us was at a very young age, kids, you know, have very strong ideas of what they want to be, and it's often limited to their immediate surroundings. You can't be what you can't see. You tend to stick to sort of what you see and what you know. But if we give them lots of other things to say, try this and try that and look at this, you know, it's about broadening horizons. You know, as my horizons on food have been broadened in the last few weeks. And I think it's really great for kids to be able to see the meaning and relevance of the subjects they're studying and thinking, you know, this is not just about passing an exam, well, that's important, but it's about being motivated. And it's saying, oh, you know, there's an amazing female engineer who's designing bridges or wind turbines, or, you know, that's a job, you know, I'd really love to do. Showing kids, you know, in your book as one example, but showing kids, you know, different people do different jobs is really, really important. So I think it's vital that in primary that kids get to see a range of people doing a range of jobs, but more about exciting about learning and about motivation and aspiration, rather than actually you need to think about this as a career, which I think is really for older kids.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think the thing that really stuck with me is the definition where it said career-related learning obviously has some very loose definitions. It can be defined in so many different ways, and that was just one terminology to group them together. But two of those other ways is career awareness and career exploration, as you said. That it's just teaching these kids what careers are out there and you know, that they can do them, so that they know what exists in the world.
The other thing we found is we did a big survey of kids' career aspirations aged 15 to 16, and the OECD, we collaborated with the OECD in January this year and published over in Davos a report with them called Dream Jobs. And that was a big study of 500,000 children around the world, including Australia, what 15-year-olds wanted to do. And what that was finding is a lot of their aspirations were very narrow, you know, often limited to who they know. But a lot of the things that careers they were choosing, the patterns, were not dissimilar to those of 7, 8-year-olds. You know, so what we're seeing is those patterns that begin at 7, 8, particularly around gender. You know, if you go through to 17, they're actually, they change a bit, but they're not dissimilar. So if you really want to, you know, aspire people to engineers, then you need to start young by showing them, you know, what is an engineer, you know, obviously about your book, what an engineer does, And that's by both books, but also by people
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh, and it's about opening their eyes and thinking, oh, I never knew, an engineer was that. I just thought an engineer was a man, was covered in grease, worked in a garage. People want to be footballers, and a lot of people want to be models, and or singers, famous singers, and there's nothing wrong with that as an aspiration. But I think what we need, and some will make it, and some will be brilliant, but the popular number of people making it is very limited. And I think we owe it on our children to show the sort of probability. So, yes, aim to be an amazing singer and make a fortune, fine. But do realise the odds of that are about 1 in whatever they are, 3 million. But looking at them, if really in music, there are lots of other jobs, including being a sound engineer, lots of engineering jobs in the music industry. So, think about other jobs in that sector, other than being the person on the stage, or being the top footballer, being the people who make the whole, make the stadiums, the engineers behind the design of the stadiums, or the design of, all the sort of equipment that goes with it. So I think it's really trying to show kids, have dreams, do dream big, but also make sure you keep other options open.
Yeah, it could also, come down to some degree of that, these jobs that they aspire to be, or that the ones that they most commonly aspire to be, are again front and center, and they see them on such a regular basis that they're very easy to relate to in what they think that they could be. And that maybe if we were to show the sound engineers to the children, maybe more would want to grow up to be a sound engineer if they knew what they were.
So I think it's those visible role models that make a difference. But I think what's really important is people talking to kids and showing them, what their job's about. And, if kids can see that, like a sound engineer, instead of just looking at the front of the stage and looking at the person on the stage, they can turn the camera and look at all the people at the back and all of the other people making it happen. A lot of people think, oh, I'd really like that sort of job, but you often don't see it. Certainly not on the TV, because you just, see the people on the front of the stage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I think, I think about part of the reason why I wrote the book is I grew up not even knowing what an engineer did, and I was exactly the same as what you said earlier about, I thought they, mechanics somewhere, playing with engines, but I ended up falling into the career and realising it was just a perfect fit for me, and I'm a lucky one, but maybe there's other people out there that didn't find their dream career because they didn't know it existed.
A lot of it is about who you know, or a bit of luck. If we want to change kids' horizons, we've got to get on with it, and we think we now know how this can be done, which is, it's very simple. It's people talking to each other. There's nothing really very clever about it. We've proved something that probably we all knew, that, kids base on what they know and what they see, but we now need to turn that into action, say, well, that's good, but actually some simple actions can change a lot of this, particularly on gender, whereas in the past a lot of initiatives have been, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, and, many of those are great, but if you're really interested in that, or fairness in terms of, you've got to start young, because it's too late otherwise.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think at that we'll wrap it up, but thanks for your time, and best of luck with the rest of your research and your organisation. Keep doing the good work that you do.
Thank you, and thanks for chat, and yeah, it's really good to connect, and wishing you all the best for your book. Thanks.
You. No problem.
Hi, my name's Hilary. I'm the illustrator of I Want to Be an Engineer. I got involved in the book when Sam asked me if I was interested in illustrating. I've been an illustrator for a while now, but I've never done a children's book commercially, so it was definitely an exciting project that I was keen to try out. It took quite a process between Sam and I at the start to really focus in on what we wanted the book to look like, what we wanted the pictures to focus on. because the story was so strong. We really wanted the pictures to reflect that. I chose to illustrate the book that way, also because I thought it would be exciting for kids to read the book and to be able to notice places in Melbourne and Victoria that they've been themselves. I can imagine a kid on the train pulling out of Flinders Street Station and recognising the view that's in the book and realising that it's a real place. And that seems exciting to me. Same with the wind farm in Wonthaggi. I can imagine a kid looking at that as they're driving past and remembering what the book said about wind farms that power their toys and power other tools, and that might help them to understand engineering and what engineering can do for them as well. For example, be building with Lego and realise that, hey, that's what engineers do in the real world when they're building houses. There's little Easter eggs throughout the book as well that I hope kids will be able to pick up as they go. For example, in the dam page, there's a puzzle with the pipes that kids can follow. A lot of little Easter eggs come from my own life and the things that I was doing while I was painting those pictures. Not something that everyone will pick up on, but it makes it a bit more personal. There's a dinosaur skeleton in the tunnel spread. That's because at the time my nephew was very interested in dinosaurs, so I thought that other little boys like him might find it exciting to think that there's a dinosaur under the sea.
Hi, I'm Gillian Kenny reading the book I Want to Be an Engineer, written by Samantha Dungy, illustrated by Hilary Bruce. I'm little now, but I'll grow up. And what will I become? I want to be an engineer and build things like my mum. My mum builds dams that catch the rain for water that we drink. The water flows through twisting pipes and ends up in our sink. Oh, you can see the twisting and turning pipes that the water flows through all the way through to the sink. The tunnels that my mum has built go deep below the ground, beneath the sea and under hills, to help us get around. Look how deep that tunnel is, all the way under the sea. Even past a dinosaur skeleton. My mum builds towers citywide. They're really, really high, with shiny windows to the top. They stretch up to the sky. Look how high those buildings are. We drove across a bridge Mum built one sunny summer's day. The yachts and boats all looked like toys beneath us in the bay. There they are in the car driving across the bridge, over to the island with the penguins. Look at those penguins. When I grow up, I'll make new things the world has never had. I want to be an engineer and build things like my dad. My dad designed our family car. It needs no fuel at all. It's so smart, it drives itself and plugs into the wall. Driving the car right by the trams. Dad built a plane that takes off fast and soars across the skies. One big whoosh, and off it goes. I wonder how it flies. Look, you can see the plane taking off with the whoosh, flying amongst the birds. He built a train that doesn't puff. It glides along the tracks. The whistle blows and off we go. Hooray! Sit back, relax. There they are, relaxing on the train as they pass by all the buildings in the city. My dad builds turbines for the wind that spin on giant towers. They power all my favourite toys, so I can play for hours. See those turbines spinning in the wind, just like his pinwheel. When we grow up and finish school, our dreams will be fulfilled. We want to both be engineers. I wonder what we'll build. What do you think they'll build when they grow up to become engineers? I hope you enjoyed the book. Thank you for listening to I Want to Be an Engineer.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. I'd like to send a big shout out to Stuart Maycock, Georgina Marnie, and my work wife Michelle Doolan for your help while I've been creating this book. I'd also like to thank Danny Broad, Bill Cox, and Colette Burke for the quotes you supplied at the back of the book. It's been great to have all of your support, and it really has been appreciated. The book's for sale right now on our website, and I hope you read and enjoy.